We are mid-October, starting to get some colors in the trees, and I figured it'd be a good day to go take the 1978 KZ1000 out for a ride. Haven't started it in probably about a year or so, which is really slacking of me. I try to start it every month. So cross my fingers we can get this going today. The tire is flat. I tried filling it and it just blew out, so I have a tube. We'll start by doing that. These armor inserts for bicycles, great, by the way, if you've never seen them before. They help from getting flats. I know in the last video we did on this, I said I was going to put it in storage in the basement, but that never happened, and just keep it out here. Well, of course, it's rusting away with the condensation. As the temperature changes, these surfaces stay cold, and you get the Coke can effect, sweating. And it really is a shame to see that, but whatever. You know, I've never been a cosmetic guy, more of a functional kind of person, and I think that all shows a little character of the bike and shows its age. I mean, after all, who wants to be 90 years old and look like they're 20 years old? It's not that the bike's 90, but anyway, let's get this off of here. How's our front tire? We got air in there, and see if she fires up. Oh, these are heavy. Focus. You can see it was sitting for a little while like that. Oh, we're all flat spotted out. Should really replace the tires on this, but you know, when you use it only once or twice a year, it's kind of like, what's the point? Cat paw prints all over it. Chain is pretty dry. Hopefully I store this with a full tank of gas. I always do. Yep, look at that. So no tank rust. That's the way to do it. I mean, a little bit up here. First thing is get this battery on charge too. 1978, the second to last year of the kickstart, and this did have a starter motor on it, but the clutch went bad, the motor went bad. I bypassed all that. It's just kick only now. And we'll pop this out and see if she's up to level on the water and takes a charge. I don't even see that sitting right there. That's the other problem storing stuff outdoors, is storing mud daubers. Nobody back there. Oh, never mind. I had put one of those Duralast AGMs. So this will be a good test. This was from 2020 or 2023. Let's see what she does. Got 6.3 volts. All right, that's a good sign. And I forget if I was just saying it, but yeah, we don't need this because we have a kickstart, but we do need it for the ignition, which takes 12 volts on that bike. And we'll plug her in over here on the NNKH Genius 25. And you know, a lot of bikes don't use battery at all, like the XL600R. It just uses the stator for spark, but not on the KZ. Well, I mean, if you kicked it enough, I suppose the stator might charge the battery up enough to get you spark. I'll let that go to town. We are looking good on oil level. Got it out without having messed with the caliper. Good brake pad neat left. And you can tell I was the last one in here years ago. Look at all that bell ray grease. Very nice. That's why it came apart so easy, you know? Made in Japan. Can't beat these old Japanese motorcycles. They are just super tough, well designed, tried and true machines. And you know, when I got into it, they were cheap. You could pick this bike up for 800 bucks all day long, running, riding, fine shape. I don't think anybody likes replacing tire tubes, especially on old, dry, hard tires. Again, no dry rot, but these are 2007. Yeah, 0707 is when these are from. So, should be replaced. But again, for a little weekend cruiser, it's no problem. Here's a tool, got at Harbor Freight years ago that I thought I would use more, but I never use. Kind of gimmicky, because there's a million ways to break beads, but I did replace all the hardware on it, though, with like heavier duty bolts and such. And I don't know, let's see how it does right here. A little tight up top. Yeah, I mean, it's actually a nice tool. I don't use it, because usually I do a multitude of ways to break the bead, but obviously these are the easiest beads there are to break, but that works good. Take our tube nut off, push it the rest of the way down, grab a couple tire irons, got the little motorcycle ones too, can come in handy. Hit her up with a little bit of soapy water. If you're worried about corrosion and the water never evaporating, they do sell special products designed for this. Or you can use baby powder too, whatever. Of course, we can go ham on this since we're not reusing the tube. You don't have to worry about pinching it or scratching the rim because it's an old 70s bike and we don't care. Yeah. Not as stiff as I thought. I did work at a motorcycle shop many years ago, and I think the hardest tube I ever replaced was on, might have been like a Moto Guzzi. It had alloy, a magnesium alloy wheel with a tube in it, and it was just so tight in there. It was like near impossible. Now, let's see where this tire popped. There it is, right on the inside. And so finding your leak is super important because then you get to determine why it happened. And well, we can see exactly why. It's got these holes for a bead lock, I suppose. I don't know why there's two of them. And you see the rubber deteriorated there a little bit, and then the tube kind of poked through and pinched. And actually, well, geez, got all dry rotted too. Well, with that being said, we are gonna have to take this tire off completely. Minimal daylight left. We're already, was it about 3 o'clock? It's dark at like 5:36 now. Trying to get a ride in, you know? You'd think I would have done this stuff at nighttime last night so I could enjoy the nice weather. Fighting. Yep, there we are. I guess we'll just ditch the rubber strip and go with tape. I'm also going to clean the rust off each of these spoke nuts, tag them with a touch of surface shield. Now with these two extra holes, the one is 180 degrees from the stem. I don't need a bead lock, nor do I have one in stock. Oh, I guess we could go with a stainless carriage bolt in there, right? Maybe a 3/8 will fit, if not 5/16. I'll grind it so it fits in the rim right. Yeah, I like that. And then we'll tape over it because I don't leave those holes open. There we go. I actually put one on the opposite side by mistake, but I guess staggering them is fine. We'll see how it goes with the balance. Just grinded those down so they're pretty flush. Probably a terrible idea to hit these with surface shield, as hopefully it doesn't interact with the tube or cause the tire to slide and shred the stem off. I mean, the tire grips on here, on this surface. I'll just wipe the residual off. Yeah, most people would have stripped the rust and then hit it with some kind of paint. Not me. I just hit everything with grease and lube. To protect the tube, they do sell special products for this, but duct tape works just fine. It doesn't last as long, Like if you're switching tubes out all the time, it's not as durable, but do a few layers, good to go. I think 2 layers will cut it. And you know what? I mean, this rubber, could throw that back on too. What the heck? Just to overkill it. Yeah, that looks good. And the part where there was the hole, that's pushing on just flatness. You know, now this is gonna be fine. It's overkill. Way overkill. I was almost gonna go over with another layer of duct tape, but come on, you're getting silly now. What are you doing? I know I got some tire lube around here somewhere. It's supposed to dry and it's non-corrosive. It's actually an anti-corrosive, but if you don't have that, baby powder works pretty good too for slipping the tire back on. You don't want to use soapy water because really, yeah, when you're going back on, you don't want that water getting in there. I mean, I'm not saying I haven't done that before, but you know what makes this a lot easier is tire machine to hold the wheel. I prefer struggling. That way, if you have to do it on the side of the road someday, you know, you're not completely lost. A little bit more baby powder on my new tube, and yeah, I could easily patch the one that came out of there with that small hole, but $10, you're better off putting a freshie in there, get some fresh rubber on the inside. And then there's the whole debate of where do you put the nuts on the stem? Do you do one on the inside, one on the outside, or both on the outside? Most tubes will come with 2 nuts on them. This didn't include any. However, I took them off the old one. One thing's for sure, you don't want the rubber going right up against the rim. So if there's nothing there, you definitely want to have the tapered washer. One would argue that it's designed, this washer goes right up against the rim, and I've taken bikes apart that have it that way or this way with the nut on the inside and then one more on the outside. And there's a look at how it would fit doing so. And that's how this one came apart. I've never seen an issue doing it one way or another, but I think this time I'm gonna switch it up. I suppose it's case by case, but on this rim, it seems it would fit in there really nicely, ditching the nut or just putting them on the outside. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, that fits nice. I suppose the only issue is if you aren't careful, you could potentially pull the stem through, rip it from the tire. I don't know, I feel like especially on a rear tire, you're better off having that nut in there to prevent the stem from shifting and getting sheared off. I'm gonna put it together this way since it's really, I see people do it both ways. I've always done it with the nut on the inside. We're gonna try it different this time. I guess what I'm trying to say is you're gonna be fine either which way you do it. When you're popping the second bead on, always start from the opposite side of the stem and don't pinch the tube, right? Watch, I probably will now. I've pinched many. See, it happens. Come on. Ah, that one really fought me. I had to put some clamps on there because the tire's so stiff and all, it just kept, like I had it seated inside the rim on this side, but on the other side it kept going on the bead, and that was making it tough. I'd be surprised if that tube's not popped. Yep. Pinched it because I got frustrated and went ham. Well, that's how it goes, you know. You be careful and then you stop being careful because you get frustrated. Popped her back out and right there, snake eyes. That's a textbook tire pinch. Pinching and patching a brand new tube is never fun. That'll do it. That's what I'm talking about. And since we don't have a nut on the inside, when you tighten this, you want to just go snug it a little bit. I'm going to take another nut, drop it on the outside as a lock nut. And don't take lessons from me, guys, because half the time I don't know what I'm doing. Just getting it done, right? Let's see how well that patch holds up now. Ooh, yeah, pretty good flat spot on that tire. See how the balance is. I didn't take the old weights off yet. Just doing a quick static balance on it. Now we're heavier where the weights are right now. Take one set off. Yep. Take the other set off. That was 42 grams, 6 times 7. How are we looking now? Still the heaviest part. Well, this is the heaviest part of the wheel. I'm gonna go ahead and put one strip up on the top. Should have some stick-on weights. I guess they would be, yep. There you go. Sometimes I can find stuff right away in this, and other times I can't. Like, those have always been in there, but stuff that I've relocated, it's tough to remember where it is. Since we don't know how much weight it's gonna need, the best thing is just use some tape, tack a few on, see what you need before adhering them completely, and of course use a little brake clean or scuff it up if it's rusty. Well, let's see what that did for us. That's pretty much fine, dead on balls. Good enough. I mean, if you let go of it and it's not rushing anywhere, that's gonna be good enough. Unless you're doing like 200 miles an hour, then maybe get a little bit more perfectionate with it. You know what's nice on the new bikes is the axles. There's a cutout on the back of the swing arm, so you can just slide the whole thing out as assembly. Not on the old bikes though. Helps to have 2 axles though, makes it easier. Since this has been sitting for a while, I did remove each screw from the bottom of the bowls to drain those. And you see it's got the nipple too, but that's just an overflow. Like on modern bikes, you could crack this loose and it'll drain out of there, but this one not. You can see the mud dauber, tried going in there. I think that's just a blind hole though. Now I can put it to prime and the carbs will fill up with fresh gas. Make for easier starting. Let's see if the battery's ready to party. Yeah, we're still kind of dim, but I'll throw the jump pack on for now. I think that should be good enough to get us on the road. And we'll see if the battery comes back to life. There you go. Put the No Code Genius on 12-volt supply. That'll do it. But ain't got time for that. I'm trying to catch the last bit of sunlight out there. I don't know if that's charging properly though. Definitely not at idle. I got 9.3 volts at idle. Comes up to 14.5 though, off idle. Just needs a good ride. you don't need to restore everything. You don't need to keep it perfect. You just need to keep it operating at least once a year. I mean, that's it. It doesn't need to be clean. Shining this paint ain't gonna make this bike run any better. Probably use a brake flush. Maybe an oil change. There's actually a doe sitting right there. I see some other deer frolicking out in the field. Geese behind them. Can't beat it. Well done. Well done. I suppose she deserves an oil change since ran just so reliably. And of course the best time is right now since all of those particles are suspended in the fluid. Yeah, it's pretty black. The oil filter housing has a small drain plug too on this, so I'll chalked it up just ever so slightly sitting on that block. That way it's level. Let that sit for an hour or so. Right, Bobs? Right? Where are we going? We doing anything? No? Okay, come on. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, and the battery didn't really come back to life too much. Just sitting here, we're at 11.6 volts. I'll let that charge overnight. When I was restarting the bike, I had to kick it probably 15 times to get her running. And I was thinking it'd be a great idea to put a headlight and taillight kill switch on it. That way, when you just turn the key on, it's only the coils getting powered, and with a low battery, you can fire it up. Or I should have kept a battery tender on it. Whatever. When I worked at the motorcycle dealership, I found a year or two is really all you ever got out of motorcycle batteries, from my experience, unless you kept them on a tender. But even then, they don't last like car batteries do, because you don't use it as often. I'll put this on 12-volt repair. Let's see what it does. These bikes take a cartridge-style filter. It goes up in that cavity. You can see the Vance & Hines pipes in the way when you remove it, though. But luckily, all you got to do is drop the bolt straight out, and then you can get it off. With the factory pipes, though, you can drop the whole thing down. Just one assembly without taking the bolt out. So this is an HF 126 filter. Didn't look too bad, and luckily I had one in stock. I just pulled the rookie move. The steel washer got stuck to the old filter. I remember the guy Andy I used to work with, he'd find these occasionally in the oil pan. Say, who the heck forgot to put this? Because there's a spring under there, and that dampens the spring load onto the rubber. Gotta pull it back off. Not that it would matter if it's not on there, but yeah, it goes on top, and then the filter goes on. Been a few hours and this battery charger has turned off, so I guess it's done doing the repair. Let's see what kind of open voltage we got. 12.3. It's not too bad. Saw a comment in the previous video. Somebody said I mounted my fan way too high and it should be mounted on the floor. I've never seen a shop ever have a fan mounted on the floor, and it might be a little bit high, but that's because I wanted it, you know, keep as much wall space as I can usable. But they were saying the carbon monoxide gases are going to settle on the ground, and that might be true. It's probably heavier than air, but hot gases are always going to rise, and then they might fall when they cool. But it doesn't matter anyway, because the way the inlet is crack the garage door and then give this a yank, and you could just see, I mean, it pulls everything in. Like if there's any leaves on the ground, it's turbulating all the air around. And if you really are worried about it, then you just give this guy a couple yanks, put that on high, oscillate, and I mean, this exhaust fan blowing out, it puts an unbelievable amount of air outside. I think it's like 6,000 CFM if I remember right. Something. It's a lot. Of course, in the winter time, you don't really want to do that, so maybe I'll get some kind of vacuum set up like what they have in firehouses to hook up to an exhaust hose, get the splitter dueling, you know, that way you don't suck all the heat out. Switch out the brake fluid while we're at it. Yeah, it's pretty brown in there. This is actually a GSXR 1000 master cylinder with plastic reservoir. That's nice, and it, you know, not originally designed to work with this caliper, but it works just fine. You know, because the factory one was just all corroded and nasty. That's why I put this guy on here. Now these brake hoses have little rubber bands on them. April 1978. DOT NCRN. Testament to the quality, I tell you. I don't like the sound of what's coming out on the rear. Listen to this. Sounds like chunky rust stuff. Ugh. Next is we need a mirror. I always thought it looked cooler with no mirrors, and then I put this one on, but it doesn't work great. So I'll ditch this and put a mirror on it. Right up there in MC Mirrors, we should have something. Just kind of spare old motorcycle mirrors. Well, here's my options. This big old one, super heavy duty. I think that's the right thread pitch. Or this little guy. It's not very 70s, huh? It's more 80s. This is an OE too. Tanaka, made in Japan. That certainly kills the look of the bike a little bit. It almost looked better with both of them on there. But we don't have the perch because don't have the OE master. I guess we'll leave it for now. You know, it's safer. So I did end up charging this battery overnight, and you see it came up bad battery. Let's see what the voltage is now. That was even after running the repair on it, and yeah, it's 12.5. Oh, it's gonna work for what I'm doing, but just in case you were considering one of these Duralast AGMs, I mean, I suppose it's decent. I mean, in 2020, it's still holding some voltage. And just to cap out on this video, she's back in the carport safe and sound. Patch is holding up good. It'll probably be here till springtime. Those of you guys that say this is a complete shame, that you're beating on that motorcycle and it should be restored, I could not disagree with you more. This is a runner rider and she likes it that way. Each year looks a little rougher. That's okay. Keeping it on the road, having a blast, that's what it's all about. I just don't see the point in restoring a motorcycle or car and then keeping it in your museum or garage just to look at it or take it out on really nice days and you have to worry about somebody grabbing it and throwing a pickup truck. No, I don't really want to ever own anything like that. I mean, unless it was just profitable to keep it and it's going to go up in value. This thing is perfect the way it is. It's not going down in value. If it gets a little rustier and crustier, it's only going up every year that you keep it running and riding. True classic. If you've never ridden one and you're a motorcycle enthusiast, I highly encourage scooping one and giving it a go, because you will fall in love. You feel that tubular frame chassis flexing as you're taking turns. It's a dangerous old motorcycle, but if you respect it, it will respect you. And that's it. I appreciate you very much for tuning in. Any feedback, always appreciate that too. See you guys in another random video soon. No nonsense, no how to. Over out.